I am so fortunate to be able to dive deep into my friendships and my network. And then there's sports. And that's where my buddy Timmy B comes into place. Tim Brando is one of the legendary, iconic voices in sport, not just in football or basketball or anything. Tim, thank you so much for being here with us on 24 Hours of Nothing But Net.
Thank you, Deb. It's great to be with you. And you are, without question, one of those that paths crossed with mine, and it was wonderful. And who knows, it might happen again sometime. It's great to be with you.
Listen, man, it would be on my bucket list to be able to call a game of significance with you. I've been able to be your reporter in the ACC tournament and other events, but never been able to sit right next to you, man. That would be awesome.
Well, hey, you never know. There's an old saying, Kurt Gowdy, who was my hero and my mentor years ago, back in the very early 80s, said to me at the Final Four in 1982, he said, kid, the only thing about our business that doesn't change is change. So, and he says, so true, so true. I've now been doing this since 1979, the first job I needed to keep. And then in 82, I started doing LSU basketball games on Tiger Vision. That was 40 years ago. And then I began doing syndicated work a year later in 1983 and 84 for people that speaking of Ray Com and Jefferson Pilot. And then in 1985, I went to ESPN and as they say, I was off and running. And four networks and 38 years later, I'm still at it, thankfully.
Well, and why? I mean, you love it, right? I mean, it's absolutely something. Yeah. What keeps you going, Timmy B?
The love and passion for the sports that I cover, and just not just the sports, but the business of broadcasting. I hear a lot of guys that are veterans of the business, railing about how bad and how difficult our industry is. And it is. Many times off the air, it can be very treacherous out there. It's a very competitive business, and it's one that from time to time will knock you back a couple of steps. And but each time that's happened to me, and I've had probably 3 different periods in my career when I had to take a look in the mirror and say, okay, where do you go from here? And as recently as 2013, when I abruptly left CBS, and I think that it made me better. I mean, it absolutely made me better. I landed beautifully, in fact, in a better place for me, because I wasn't getting to do college football play-by-play at that time regularly. I was in the studio. I was not out there doing games every Saturday, which was what I always wanted to do. And probably 60% of my career had been in the studio. And God bless Vern, he didn't want to leave. And I was frustrated. I really wanted to be in the booth. And as it turned out, Fox came to me, and I've been doing nothing but, play-by-play for college football and basketball. And I've done a few NFL games for them as well. Did a little golf when they had it. So they've utilized me and treated me in a way that I really felt at this time in my career I needed to feel. And again, I was blessed to be at CBS for 18 years and to do the NCAA tournament for 18 years. But I probably wasn't as together, mentally in the time that I was there as I know that I am now. And so I think that's a lot of it. We're all growing. We're all trying to improve and get better. And rather than looking at that difficulty that we occasionally will run into with our own self-worth and other people's view of our worth, I think that the job itself is so much fun. And I've never had to work. It's been fun. And now I put a lot of time into it, which is, you could say, work ethic. Okay, I think I've got a great work ethic, but I'm having fun at what I do. And, when you're 66 years old and you're still viable, you're still relevant, and you've got people calling you and wanting you to do this or that, not many guys my age, and I've got a lot of friends I play golf with that are retired now, and they're envious. And I get that. I do, because I don't feel my age. I know I am 66, but I don't feel it. And I'm going to keep coloring my hair at my wife's request. As we say, Grecian formula just for men, and makeup. Makeup will always be a little bit young, Deb.
Totally. I mean, I know exactly where you come from. I'm doing the same things, man. I'm doing the same things. What we do is so subjective, and we do have that internal battle about that validation of, are we good enough? We do face, no one would ever think at your level, Tim, that you would have some adversity. They would think it'd all be smooth and easy and no grind to it, just show up and do the job. But I know that's not anywhere a part of your DNA or how you've been brought up or where you come from. Speak to that a little bit about how you navigate that part of the career.
Well, I think that it is about just a confidence, an inner confidence that, you can do this. At different stages of my life, I was born into the business. My father was on television. I admired and wanted to be just like Dad in the beginning. And then I learned that what Dad was doing was maybe a little bit too wide and too varied. I wanted to be the best at something, not a jack of all trades. And so sports was my outlet, and I was a decent enough athlete, decent enough to know that I couldn't play it at a higher level, but I could broadcast it at a higher level. Mm-hmm. And I started concentrating on it, working high school football games with him at a very young age. And my thought was, and he kind of reinforced it, if you're the best 14-year-old play-by-play guy out there, who's to say you won't be the best 24-year-old or the best 34-year-old or the best 66-year-old? Just approach it that way, that every game you do, no matter how many people nationally are interested, there are going to be a lot of people that are just on the edge of their seats for everything you're saying during that 2 or 3 hour period. And I've sort of approached it that way. I'm in the middle of writing a book. I say in the middle, I'm really at the beginning, working on it feverishly this spring and summer, maybe about 1.5 to 2 years away from finishing it off, because I can tell it's going to be a lot of work. But it's not just autobiographical. It's more of the journey. The journey's the best part, as I always say, when I talk to young broadcasters, and learning from those missteps. And Deb, there's only 4 or 5 guys that get to be Joe Buck, Jim Nance, Mike Tirico, and Al Michaels. Those are, we all began, I think, thinking we could maybe be there. I certainly felt when I began that I could get to that point. But for the most part, most people that are going to have really good careers or great careers, they're probably going to land about where I did, not where they did. And when you're in that position, that means you're going to face those positions every 10, 11, 12 years of, okay, all right, I'm going to have to be no longer an ESPN guy. I got to be a Turner guy. And when then I went to be CBS, and I had to sort of earn my stripes there. He's a CBS guy now. And same thing has happened since I went to Fox. I'm about to start my 9th year there. And I think each time there's a little bit of a test for you to pass each time, that you're now one of their guys. And no matter what sport it is that you're covering. So that's what keeps me motivated. And I think that becoming easier and understanding self-awareness, easier to work with, easier to be around. Mm-hmm. I always thought that everyone I worked with enjoyed working with me. I really did. But you find out over time that maybe from a few things that you might have done could have landed the wrong way at some point with someone. And you figure that out too over time. And so I think I'm the best version of myself now. I'm a slow learner. It's taken me 5 decades to figure that part of it out. But each step for me, Deb, wherever there was a mistake made, I think this is the bigger point. Everything that did go wrong for me, I was responsible for. The only person that really got in Tim Brando's way was Tim Brando. Maybe from time to time, I was a little too pushy. Maybe I was chasing a job I shouldn't have been chasing. Maybe I said something when I was doing a radio show that was too opinionated, and maybe it got underneath on the desk of someone of power at a conference that was in partnership with my network. You know, those things happen if you're pushing the envelope.
Yes.
And I pushed it, you know, and I probably always will. That's why I think the title for my book, you'll love this. You'll love this, Deb. The title of the book is On Brando.
I love it.
I've had people tell me, you know, Tim, I met you here in the airport, and it's though I've been on television with you for the last 20 minutes. You're always on. And that's kind of the truth. I mean, I think if you just run into me at the grocery store and say hello, we're going to have a little bit of a conversation, you know, and
that's who you are, Timmy. I mean, that's exactly,
you know, and so understand it, be self-deprecating about it. I have a reputation for liking to, you know, for talking, and I guarantee you my reputation for talking is more about off the air than it is on.
I don't know about that, man. Let me say, you are on that list of iconic names that you rattled off. So don't think that people like me, that I'm one of your people that got to work with you, that 100% enjoyed every second of it.
Well,
as a reporter, with you as a play-by-play, you were inclusive. I fought to get on. You let me, because there's a lot of times I've worked with play-by-play guys that didn't let the reporter on, right? So there's a lot of stuff, subtle things in the industry. You included me. You brought me with you pregame. You brought me with you postgame, which was really fun as well.
Yeah, yeah. And I did pick up a few tabs. Is that what you're saying?
You picked up every tab I was ever with you. I don't remember ever paying for a drink when I was with you, Tim. You were awesome. And it wasn't just our crew.
That one will follow you around more than any other reputation, right? If you don't pick up a tab.
I saw you pick up my tab, then the analyst tab, and then maybe 3 other guys at the bar that said hello to you. I'll give them a drink too. That's the way you are. That's the kind of guy you are.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, you never know. Support people that you're working with around the truck. Could be a young associate producer, AD, production assistant. You never know. Hell, one of them might run a network one day. You know, when I went to Fox, the first year I was doing the Pac-12 championship game. And in 2014, Marcus Mariota was quarterbacking for Oregon. They beat Arizona. And then I was going to fly on the company jet with the CEO of Fox, Eric Shanks, to Indianapolis to do a basketball game between Butler and Northwestern, which was on the same day as the Big Ten championship. So he was flying there to be, you know, on hand for I think it was back then it was Charles Davis and Gus Johnson were working the Big Ten championship, and Joel Klatt and I had just done the Pac-12 championship on a Friday night. So we're flying. I'm going to get into Indianapolis at about 4 or 5 in the morning. The game is at noon, so it's a quick turnaround over at Butler, an iconic gym, as you know. You spent some time there during the COVID NCAA tournament, I know. And as we're flying out, Eric and I got into a conversation. Well, he was a student at Indiana and a runner for CBS when I was calling Indiana games. And the sports information director at the time, Kit Klingelhofer, would have these guys that were students that would come over and help with stats or go runners, basically just runners. And he did that while I was calling games. I had no idea until we had that flight. So, you know, every day is an audition. You know, you never know where some of these guys are going. I know, you know this name. He's working at ESPN now with ACC Network. Alex Farmartino is an excellent young producer that was tutored under Rob Reichley at Raycom and now is doing that guy's got a resume that could soar him right to the top of a network in probably 10 to 20 years. So people like that grow into the industry and maybe 20, 30 years younger than you are, may one day play a role in how long you hang around, you know?
No question, Tim. And that's sort of what you're talking about is, you know, your philanthropic attitude about bringing along younger people or being mindful of people, just people around you. That's sort of what we're doing with 24 hours of Nothing But Net. We're trying to make the community better. And you know my story with my son, Frankie, and he's my inspiration. He's right here. And he's always got the guns up for being strong and powerful. I know you have a generous heart and a giving soul, and that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on, is because everyone knows the personality of Tim Brando, the iconic broadcaster that's, you know, the network guy that does all the big games. You know, I know Timmy B from hanging out in the back room and talking family and being around you and when there's no cameras or when there's nobody around. And so I know what kind of person you are and how much you love what you do. And when we talk about being able to do more, when you think about Special Olympics and your involvement in all the philanthropic things that you do, why is it important for people to give when they think that there's a cause that they can support?
Well, first and foremost, those people involved in Special Olympics, and there are different, obviously, definitions of special, as there are different types of autism, okay, different types of any disease that might be out there. When you approach them, it makes their day. When you spend time with them, it really, you know, you can see on their faces at the time. You know, a lot of people will tell you after the fact, gee, that really made me feel good, but they don't tell you at that point. They don't tell you when it's happening. Generally speaking, those with special needs, they'll tell you either, and if they can't tell you verbally, they'll tell you physically. You know, the look in their eyes, or the way they hug you, you know, the way they hold on to you, you know, when you hug them. And I think that it breaks down, you know, not everybody has a personality that can automatically reach out. And I get that. Not everybody wants to speak in front of a large group of people. I never had that problem. So when I see someone that really is excited to see me, then I want to embrace them and engage them in a very personal way so that they'll always remember that happened. You know, I was playing, you'll love this story, kid that's a huge Arkansas basketball fan. He's almost got 4,000 Twitter followers. Kenan Sandy is his Twitter handle, if you ever get a chance to look at it. And then he's a Down syndrome kid, and he is just a huge fan of Arkansas. And all the coaches love him, all the fans love him. He's like the #1 Arkansas fan. So I'm playing in Memphis, and his mom and you know, came up to me and said, we drove all the way in from Arkansas so he could meet you. And I was in the middle of my round, you know, inside the ropes, playing in a pro-am. And I let him inside the ropes with me for a hole, and he just walked down the fairway with me. And you know, it was like it was so memorable. And I've missed probably the last 2 or 3 because of scheduling pro-ams that they had at St. Jude. And you know, each year about this time, I'll hear from him, hey, are you going to play? And I said, well, awesome. I believe that this year the date's going to be one that I can make, because they changed it. You know, it's a world golf event now, as opposed to just the St. Jude PGA Tour event. And I think I will be able to see him again. But you know, those moments are as good for you as they are for them. You know, it makes you whole. It makes you feel like that you're making a difference in someone's life, that you know. And I celebrated him on Twitter, and the Arkansas fans loved it. And I gave him my hat that I was playing with, signed it, and then he gave me an Arkansas hat signed by the basketball coach, the football coach, the baseball coach, the whole bit. You know,
that's great.
So those moments, I think, turn you into that round, you know, that the 360 guy. I've always sort of approached my life as a 360 guy, that an all-around guy. If someone said afterward they met me or spent any time with me, if all they said was, you know what, that's a really good guy, that's an all-around guy, that would be the perfect compliment.
Well, that's exactly who you are, Tim. And I can't wait to read On Brando. I think that is a perfect name for your book. It has so many meanings. On Brando, you're on, you're Brando. I mean, it's going to be, and if I saw you in the grocery store, I know it would be an endless conversation.
Well, and you know, when you're young and you're playing ball, basketball, baseball, whatever, if you got a last name like Brando, coaches are never going to call you Tim. They're going to go, Brando. You know, it's like, you know, you were always going to get it. So I had to embrace it.
You are the best. Thank you so much for taking time and for spending it with us on 24 Hours of Nothing But Net. And I know if Frankie got a chance to hang out with you, he'd be carrying your bag a few holes for you.
There you go. Well, listen, we'll make that happen someday soon, Jen. That's now on my bucket list. And as we like to say so often in our business, the check's in the mail. So you'll be having a contribution from Chateau Brando real soon.
You're so kind, Tim, and I'm so grateful for your time and your giving heart. And thank you for everything you've done to support me in my career, which has helped my family immensely.
You bet. Well, you earned it. You earned it. And we're ready for it when it came. And the sky's the limit for you. You know that.
Thank you, Tim. Best wishes to you and your family. Have fun, man.
Okay, Deb. All the best.